We're going to talk a bit about building your personal identity. We're also going to talk about protecting it, because we could screw it up pretty easily too. So, I like that picture because I used to work in construction and real estate development. So what is a brand? Well, we all live in West Texas. Oh, that's a brand. All right. I use a lot of corny jokes. I warn my students if they fail my class, they hear the same jokes the next semester. That's incentive to study. So West Texas, we all brand, we know what branding is with cattle. This one says, this cow belongs to Darrell Jones, so hands off. You can see the worried looks on the faces of the cows. So a brand is a name, a term, sign, symbol, or whatever. It's meant to identify the product or service and differentiate it from the competition. So identify and differentiate, stand out. So identify who you are and differentiate you from the crowd, right? So those are the two key words, identify and differentiate. So we can use them for consumer goods, like Tide Pods, or potato chips. Once in class, I have my students come up with a brand new product idea. So they came up with chicken-flavored potato chips. Everyone went, ooh. And then I went to Australia on sabbatical. Chicken chips are like crazy wild down there. People love them. I was like, okay. I brought the picture back and my students went, ooh. But they like, in Australia, they're big. It could be business goods or services like banking or consulting or medical equipment like surgical equipment for doctors or construction or logistics or IT. All these sorts of things are for businesses. Change. Okay. Food and beverages. In New Zealand, lamb and mint flavored potato chips are big. All right. It could be alcohol. Chocolate is one of my favorite foods. After pizza, chocolate's probably number 2. Chocolate pizza? All right. It could be Coca-Cola, anything like that. Entertainment? Do you ever notice how Captain Jack Sparrow and Lil Wayne look alike? Is that by accident or purpose? And, of course, you got cardio. Or is it Cardi B? I always get those blood types mixed. And it was one of the blood types. Anyway. Dalton Domino. Plays a lot in Lubbock. James Harden, he has the beard, right? That's how you know him. It's the beard, fear the beard. Saturday Night Live, folks. Pete Davidson went to my high school. Not the most famous guy from my high school, but one of the guys from my high school. There could be places and events like Austin City Limits or Austin Kitty Limits. That was Charlie's first Austin Kitty Limits. Charlie's going to turn 1 next Sunday, a week from Sunday. I'm going to go down to Austin for his birthday. Could be the Olympics. This is Bradley Atkins from Idalou. He was one of my students. He competed in the Olympics. I always wanted to go to the Olympics. You're going to laugh, but actually, when I was a high school kid, I really thought I was going to make it. I didn't. Woodstock. All the hippies hung out. 300,000 people. I live in New York, a place they try to get people to come back to New York and enjoy New York. Don't worry, you won't get mugged. I lived in New York for 22 years. I never got mugged. Tesla has a showroom down in my old neighborhood called Red Hook, and so they co-brand Tesla with the neighborhood. You would get mugged in Red Hook, by the way. You don't go there. Change. Schools, right? So you could have like we brand with a double T, with the Matador, around football, and then some schools may not want to admit their football teams. We were Division I. We were 136 out of 136. It wasn't my fault. I sat on the bench. All right. Fashion, right? We got the coolest looking football coach anyway. So whether it's Levi's or Manolo Blahnik or Dolce & Gabbana or whatever. By the way, Kate Spade and Coach have now merged under an umbrella called Tapestry. For your older folks in the room, that's like the old Carole King album. Okay. For you younger folks, listen to Carole King's Tapestry album. Greatest album made in the second half of the 20th century. All right. So services. So if you're a Seinfeld fan, Tom's Restaurant, I used to live a block north of there on 113th of Broadway. It's where Seinfeld used to eat all the time. Or Lombardi's, the first pizzeria in America. We're going to have pizza later. It's not going to match up, but it's pizza. Southwest, Jimmy's. You guys ever heard of Jimmy's? Some of you may have been to Jimmy's. Some of you may not be old enough to go to Jimmy's. The taxi or Uber, mowing grass, these are all services you can brand, right? Like Joe's mowing service. All right, people. It could be celebrities, usually. What's her name?
Lady Gaga.
What a name. Dr. Phil. You guys probably forgot. You don't even know who Paris Hilton is, right? Her time has come and gone so quickly. Why did it ever happen? Do you guys know who that is? Please tell me you know.
Hemingway?
Which one?
Yeah, it was Hemingway. All right. James Bond.
Oh, yeah.
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig.
You guys ever heard of the Beatles? All right. And then these two over here. Let's forget about that. It could be a doctor. You know, all these sorts of people can be branded. And of course, so these are all kinds of I went too far. This clicker is not like the clickers we have at the BA. It's really sensitive and not sensitive at all. All right, we'll go over here. So we can also have brand extensions from celebrities, like perfumes and alcohol. So JT and George Clooney had their spirits and whatnot. And then we have George Foreman, wins the Olympics, becomes a professional boxer, and then makes the George Foreman grill and names all 27 kids George. What has he got, like 5 kids named George? Yeah, it's like, could you not come up with something original? Very popular athlete. And then this guy who tried to make steaks and wine and things like that. And now, if you're going to choose a name to brand, make sure you use a name that helps to differentiate your business. Remember, part of this is to identify your business, but also differentiate. So if you're going to pick a name that's unique, somebody told these people, pick a unique name. They at least pick new unique. All right. So a brand for buyers is a promise of consistency. That you know, if you go into a McDonald's any place, it's going to be a McDonald's. All right. It's not going to have linen tablecloths. It's not going to have silverware. It's going to be a McDonald's. Whether it's in Lubbock or New York City, where I worked in college, or in Amsterdam, or in Beijing, China, it's going to be a McDonald's, right? So this was for International Women's Day. They took the golden arches and flipped them. This is the KFC in Prague. When I taught summers in Prague, my students couldn't get enough KFC. It's like, you're in another country, eat their food. Oh, but it's KFC. Okay, whatever. And there's a Starbucks. They couldn't get enough Starbucks either. But it's the same. Wherever you go, it tastes the same, right? It's the marketer is putting the name up as a hostage. If I mess up, you're going to say bad things about my product. So I promise you this food will be the same. This product, this whatever will be the same every time. This is why product manufacturers hate it when knockoffs come along. That fake Rolex, that fake whatever kind of bag, they hate that because they're not the same quality. And if people actually think it's the brand name and it falls apart, they're going to blame the brand. So it mitigates the risk in purchase. So I'm not going to worry about whether it's a good brand or not. I'm going to buy a brand I trust. Right? It's safe. So every time, everywhere, it's the same. It's helped simplify decision making. I like Blue Sky hamburgers. I know I'm going to get a good hamburger every time I go there. So if I feel like a hamburger, I'm going to go to Blue Sky. I don't have to worry about it, or Whataburger, or whatever. Even the Soviet Union, which had no branding, right? It's wasteful, right? But yet, in order to enforce quality standards, they made each factory stamp a factory mark on their products. And the consumers began to look for the factory marks because they knew which factories made the better products. A de facto brand emerged. So, by the way, under Soviet rule, this is what the typical stores look like. I went to the Soviet Union just before the end of communism. Every store had a line like this. Communism didn't work. It also helps us to develop our self-image. Helps us to develop and strengthen our self-image. So if I buy a high-quality, expensive guitar, I feel like I'm a serious guitar player, even though I'm not. I feel like one. Or if I buy Ping golf clubs, which I did, I suddenly felt like I was a legitimate golfer. My score maybe picked up 2 or 3 strokes. But here I am playing with one of our alums, who's a Rawls College of Business grad, who this month is on the French edition of Golf Magazine, Clement Sordet. He's on the European tour. So there's a group of professors from Rawls he was kind enough to play with before he went pro and graduated. He's a nice kid. Mustang, if I drive a Mustang, I would look cool rather than old. I went to buy one time, and my buddy, who was the dealer manager, grabbed me by the shoulders and said, "Bob, let me show you the SUVs." Mustangs don't come in your size. Wranglers, I might feel rugged. Ford, America. All right. So this helps build our image. I do drive a Ford SUV, thanks to my friend Bob. Also, for marketers, brands give us legal protection. So I can't open a restaurant under my own name. McDonald's, Bob's Big Boy. Either way, I'm stuck, right? It also, oops, I went wrong buttons. There you go. Customers are loyal. They're not going to switch. I've been drinking Coke products for the last 35, 40 years. Until the last month, I have not switched products. And then they messed with the Coke Zero formula. And I became a diet Dr. Pepper drinker. After 40 years, after 4 decades, it's taken that long for me to switch brands. And I'd even pay a premium. If you give me a choice of Bubba Cola and Coca-Cola, I'm going to pay for the Coke. I'll pay twice the price for Coca-Cola over Bubba Cola. Some of you might want to save money and drink Bubba Cola. You wouldn't buy Bubba Cola?
I mean, probably not, because it's more of an identity thing.
Yeah, well, for me, it's probably a taste thing. I wouldn't trust anything called Bubba Cola. It's like my friend who went to Algoma, Wisconsin back in college, and he saw this beer they stored outside. They weren't afraid anybody was going to steal it. It was called Badger Brew. And it was like, he saw it was like $2, and he went up and he thought it was $2 a case. Man, that's awful. Then he realized it was 2 for $2. So it's like, ugh. And it should give you a competitive advantage over your competition. All right. So how do you build a brand? Well, first figure out who you're trying to reach. Right? Because the brand might be different depending on who your market is. Is it employers, your customers, your professional network, social network? It's going to be different depending. And then you decide how to best appeal to that particular group that you're trying to market to. And then you create a brand identity. Okay, now, identity, this is a key word. And then make sure that your brand image matches your brand identity. These are 2 very different concepts, identity and image. So your brand identity is what you aspire to become. So this is your image. This is what people see you as. You see yourself differently. So I still see myself as a 20-year-old football player, not the 60-something-year-old bald guy that my students see. My wife keeps telling me when we go to the gym, "Bob, you can't lift that much weight." I said, "I used to be able to. I could bench 300 plus pounds." She said, "Used to be. You used to have hair. You used to be a lot lighter. You used to be able to run miles and miles. You used to be able to fit in your jeans." A lot of stuff like that. So, but your image and identity, you define your own identity. Your customer defines your image. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Your image is in the eye of the beholder. All right? So you only control your identity. You build it, you protect it. And it makes a difference. In a perfect world, your image matches your identity. That's where you want to get to. Change. Change comes within. All right. So who's going to judge you? Your boss? Customers, lenders, friends? Like 3 people saw the show. We got to play the Rembrandts now? 2 people know who the Rembrandts were. Okay. So, how do you make yourself the best candidate for a job or this job? All right. How do you appeal to customers? Whatever. First, you have to create the positioning. Huh? Positioning? What is positioning? Positioning is the unique space that you occupy in the buyer's mind. Wait a minute, we're getting inside somebody's head? Yep. What do you think of when I say Ford? Well, I just told you, American. What about when I say Wrangler? Rugged, I told you. All right. What about, what else? What other products? Volvo, safe. Porsche,
Glamorous.
glamorous. Mercedes,
Expensive.
huh?
Expensive.
Expensive, right? Tesla,
Cutting edge.
cutting edge, right? So these are the ways we think, these are positionings that we think of products, right? Now, you need to create the positioning for your product, and you build your identity to reach this positioning, right? In order to appeal to your target audience. Well, does your target audience like the beach or the mountains? It matters. Who you trying to appeal to? They like country music or rock and roll? They kind of sound the same to me now. But I'm an old cranky guy. But really, do they want to go to McKenna Beach on Maui? Well, the fjord in Norway, which is it? It depends which job you're going for, which group you're trying to join, right? How you position yourself depends on who you're trying to appeal to. So, 2 things to keep in mind. Points of parity and points of difference. Now, I'm going to make these slides available to you if you want them. So, yeah, I know, a lot of notes. Kevin's going, oh, come on, man. Your tests weren't this bad. Just email me, I'll send it to you. All right. Points of parity, how are you like everybody else? In other words, how do you qualify for this job? I am a qualified candidate for this job. Let's say you're going for a job. Points of difference, how are you the best candidate for this job? What makes you stand out from the crowd? Okay, I'm as good as everyone else, so you need to look at me. But here's where I'm better. This is what makes me unique, makes me the best person. Think about your brand mantra. Right? This is a 2 to 5 word kind of encapsulation of everything that you don't share it with the world, you share it internally. Companies use these to talk about them amongst themselves. Like Nike's is authentic, athletic, action wear or something. It's 3 A words. I can't remember off the top of my head. But you might say something like, never a bad day. Attitude is everything. Or whatever it takes. Never quit. All right? And you use these to simplify the way you think about your brand. Right? You communicate to yourself. Use it to inspire yourself. And so, I have a T-shirt that says attitude is everything. It's a Big Dog brand T-shirt. And Big Dog, their original slogan was, if you can't run with the big dog, stay on the porch. But I love the shirt that says attitude is everything. But, and it is. If you show up with a bad attitude, you're going to mess up everybody else's attitude. So you've got to be positive. You've got to be energized, right? Be positive. And that goes with never having a bad day. I mean, if a surgeon has a bad day, other people have a bad day. In the business world, you have a bad day. Maybe you're a salesperson, you don't make a sale. You're a professor, your students fall asleep. Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever fallen asleep in a class? All right. Now, a warning before we go any further. All this hard work you put into building your brand, it can really be hurt if you're not careful. So remember, what happens at Chimmy's doesn't stay at Chimmy's. It can go on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, Twitter. It can be in scary places, all right? People have cameras now on their phones. You guys heard about that? Even my old phone. My phone is so old, you got to dial it like this in order to get a picture. It's a 4. Did you know they went back that far? Thomas Edison invented that. Oops, I pointed that. All right. Social media is everywhere. You know those Chive Girl pictures? Have you heard about that? Some of you may. Don't do those because they'll come back and haunt you. One of my students was so excited that she made Chive Girl of the Week or something back like 10, 12 years ago. I said, don't do that. It's like, you want to see it? I said, no, I don't want to see it. It's like, these things like, you don't want to do that. Interviewers during jobs, they'll say, hey, show me your Facebook page. Be careful what you put up there. They will look you up anyway. So you might want to make sure you control who has access to it. So I looked at your Facebook page. No, man, there's no way you're getting this job. People will do that. I had a student that this was, 8, 9 years ago. She had a job locked up with a great company, and then her new boss saw her resume on Monster. He withdrew the offer because she was careless. They will also check your DWI records. I had a student, he would have had a great job. He walked in an interview with a pharmaceutical company, and they said, what's your driving record like? He says, well, I just got arrested last weekend for DWI. Said, but I'm, sorry, interview's over. But I hadn't gone to court, it's over. Said, if you want, we can do practice. He went through the whole interview, said, you're exactly the kind of guy we would hire. Your interview was great. So sorry, but we can't have somebody with the DWI working for a pharmaceutical company or with alcohol distributor or keep your record clean. You think you're drinking too much? Uber. So your brand is in the public eye. It's out there. Your reputation's at stake. Right? You're putting your brand up as a hostage. Here's who I am. Right? Protect it. Everything you do leaves a footprint. All right. Early Facebook, like 2007, I went on Facebook. Just wanted to see what this Facebook, this is back when you had to have an EDU email account in order to get on Facebook. So let me see what this Facebook thing's all about. So I just looked around some of my students. I saw keg stands. I saw people in their underwear. Honor students. And I thought, I know my students don't want me to see this. So I got off I stopped looking, and I kept my account, but I just didn't do anything with Facebook until I went on sabbatical, and then I went and I looked. Now, even before Facebook, this is, I think, 1973, this guy went on to become a college professor. So, and just, I don't know what happened to him. There's also, toga parties. This was a toga party. This is a toga party from Animal House. These things happen. My students don't believe I had hair. I'm giving up on this thing. Your social media should not be all drinking and flaming shots and party boats. Some of those are fine. Minimize them or eliminate them, better yet. All right. Be careful because you never know when somebody's going to do something, catch you doing something stupid, like silly things, or passing out and having somebody outline your body with beer bottles, or covering your face with grass. One year, I think it was the first year I taught in Prague, one of my students said, look, I hope to go to work for the FBI or CIA someday. Please do not take any pictures of me if there's any alcohol anywhere. Even if anybody else is drinking alcohol, please don't take my picture. So everybody agreed. And it was up front, day one, we all agreed. We didn't take any pictures of her when there was alcohol. We were on the road, we were on trips, we took lots of pictures of her. It was perfectly fine. Political speech will position your brand, whether you're, no matter which position you take or whatever position you take, whatever groups you support, just be aware of that. Obviously, being an idiot, hateful idiot will affect you. Other people's posts on your sites will affect you. So look at that as well. You might not want them. After Charlottesville, I bounced 7 or 8 people off my Facebook page. Some of them were high school classmates I've known for 45, 50 years. Fraternity brothers, even one of my cousins. It's like, I don't need you on here. And it wasn't like they just were like, anyway. I'm not going to go into that now. I just didn't want them on my page anymore. There's also anonymity. Some people will use Twitter accounts without identifying themselves. Some people are controlling. This is one of my college teammates, track team. I was on the track team. Who is an actor. This is from The Wire. He's currently in The Alienist, and he used to be in. He was also in a TV show called Ballers and some other things. He has a public account you can join, and then a private account on Facebook that you have to have controlled access to get into. And he's a little freer on the private account. I have a couple of high school classmates who are somewhat famous. This is one friend who is an Emmy-winning actor sitting next to George Clooney and Brother, Where Art Thou? He has no media presence at all, none. And then this is another classmate from high school. He plays with this guy from Jersey named Bruce. And he has no social media presence at all, though he has a fan club that's not his. He doesn't control it. And then other people have follow-only sites. Change. Maybe I'm just too impatient. All right. So building your professional goals, brand. What are your goals? Is it to get a job? Well, if it is, you need to build a killer resume as part of your brand, right? And then have a killer interview. If it's to get a promotion or a plum assignment, how do you show you're the best person? All right, so the killer resume, what do you point out? Well, your degree and your major, if it's pertinent. All right, what is it about this job? We're interviewing for people right now, and some of the people that are applying, they're putting their resumes on their resumes, what their major was and showing how it fits very well or with the position we're looking for. If you have honors, scholarships, you're in an honor society, you've been awarded a scholarship, play that up. That's a big deal. When I graduated, I did not put my GPA down. There's a reason for that. You remember the toga picture? Mm-hmm. I was in a fraternity and 2 different varsity teams and other things. Internships you did, any sort of leadership, like if you're in student organizations. I was in like 4 student organizations, and I think I chaired like 2 or 3 of them and was an officer in 1 or 2 of them. I was in student government. Any sort of work ethic, jobs, like I always held 2 jobs and paid my way through college. Varsity sports, these are all big deals. I've had students who come to me and say, I have no job experience. So, well, you were on the football team for 4 years, right? Well, 5. Yes, okay. You guys work like nonstop. From the time you wake up, and you have to wake up early. I have varsity athletes in summer school that they're up at 4 in the morning and working out until their 8 o'clock class, and then after class they're back working out again. That's worse than any job I've ever had. That's hard work. Put that down. It's a big deal. Community service is huge. If you've done community service, talk about it. Because employers want to know that you're going to be a good citizen. You're going to be a good employee, good team member. So play it up. The package. What do you look like? Dress for success. Don't show up. One of my nieces lived with us, and she went for a job interview at a local cafe, and she went to the interview with like jeans with rips in them, and her tattoos and her legs were showing. It's like, you can't go to a job interview like that. Oh yeah, no, they're casual. And then she couldn't understand why she never got a call back. Like, okay. All right. So grooming is important. Fitness matters. You got to be in shape. I keep telling my wife round is in shape, but no, you really do. You need to, work out and stay in shape. Personality matters. You got to come across like you're engaged, like you care, like this job matters, that you really want this job. Look them in the eye. You can't look somebody in the eye. They don't trust you. It doesn't mean you stare like a cat. The cat will always win if you have a staring contest. You can't beat a cat. All right. Shake hands, firm grip. You don't want to go like firm grip, but don't try to crush their hands. At graduation this past December, I had some kid was so excited about graduating. I was up representing the teaching academy at the front of the room. Some guy was so excited about graduating. He had massive hands. I've got big hands. He had massive hands. He grabbed my hand so hard, he literally ripped the skin off the top of my hand. And I had to like step out of line. Luckily, I had a Band-Aid with me. I always keep Band-Aids in my wallet. And I just had to stop and like bandage up. My hand was bleeding. It's just like, dude, I know you're excited. And I just fist bumped from that point on. It's just like, don't try to like show how tough you are and like try to crush people's hands. But, at the same time, shake, and you don't have to keep shaking and shaking and shaking and shaking and shaking and shake, or like, just let them know you're there. Killer interview. Show that you want the job. Arrive early. 15 minutes early is Lombardi time. Huh? Who's Lombardi? You guys ever watch football?
Yes.
Okay. Super Bowl. They give away a trophy. Whoever wins the Super Bowl, it's called the Lombardi Trophy. Vince Lombardi used to coach the Green Bay Packers. They won the first 2 Super Bowls. They weren't even called the Super Bowls back then. He was the coach of the Packers, and they named the Super Bowl trophy after him because he won the first 2. He said if you're not 15 minutes early for an important meeting, you're late. So show up early, right? They'll appreciate it. Even if you got to sit there, give you a chance to catch your breath, go over your notes, think about what you're doing, make sure your tie's knotted up nice. I showed up an hour early for today's talk. Why? Because it was important. I wanted to go over my notes. I wanted to relax. I wanted to cool down. I had to walk over from the BA. I went over. I was hot and sweaty. I wanted to cool off and get settled. All right. Why are you so special? What makes you stand out? What are the key points we need to know about you that make you unique? Think about it. We're talking to you. We figure you're qualified. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in here talking to us. Right? We already assume because of your resume, you're qualified for this job. Now, why are you better than everybody else? Don't be shy. This is the wrong time to be shy. Now, don't be overly cocky, right? I'm in the middle of a job interview. What are you doing? Don't do that to a professor, by the way. My brother works at the University of New York, and he used to work in student services, and whenever a student would answer their phone while they were in a meeting with them, he would end the meeting and tell them to reschedule. My brother's a lot tougher than me. It shows disrespect. So obviously, if you answer a phone while you're in the middle of a job interview, the interview's over. You're not going to get that job. You should shut your phone off when you go in. All right. So, getting a promotion. Always dress for the job you want, not the job you have. So I should dress like I'm retired, I guess. Dress for the job you want, not the job you have. All right? And behave that way too. So always behave like the next level up. Watch how your bosses behave. And behave like that. All right? If they show up early, you show up earlier. Never stop learning. All right? Learning is lifelong, forever and ever. I read probably 6 books a month, and at least one of them, like most of them are for fun, but at least one every month is going to be history or something else. Have a replacement. A lot of people are afraid to have a subordinate who's good. You want somebody better than you. When I was in business, I wanted to get promoted. And at 31, I got promoted to be vice president of a real estate development company in Houston. I was managing 1 million square feet of commercial office and medical office space in Houston, worth at that time about $100 million. In today's dollars, probably closer to $500 million. And in order to get promoted, I needed somebody to take my job. I was 31. I was pretty good. And, first generation college kid. And so I needed somebody to come up behind me, and I had somebody who was better at doing the job I had than I was. She was way better than me. And my boss said, "You think she can handle it?" I said, "Handle it. She'll shock you how good she is." I said, "I don't care about that. Can she do your job?" I said, "Way better." He said, "Okay, then you're promoted and she's got your job." I said, "Okay, cool." So boom, boom, boom. So off we went. You need somebody to take your job to get promoted. So develop people. Don't be afraid of people who are working for you. Develop them, encourage them, protect them. When somebody asks, say yes. They ask you to do something, you say yes. Now be careful about saying yes too often. I'm in one of those situations right now where I forgot the no word that I learned as a 2-year-old. And I keep saying yes, and now I'm like, oh man, what have I got? I've got like so many yeses I've said this semester, and I need to learn to say no. Work hard, do your best, be resourceful. So this is one of my former students, Noble Madu, who's like Uber entrepreneur based out of Dallas. All right. When you got that plum opportunity, that great assignment comes up, how do you get that? You guys ever seen the TV show Welcome Back, Kotter? Took place in Brooklyn. There was a character named Horshack. He was always going, "Ooh, ooh, Mr. Kotter, Mr. Kotter." That's how you get it. You raise your hand. You say, "I want it." Because bosses are lousy mind readers. They're so focused on what needs to get done, they're not worried about who's up. You say, "I want to do it." Right? You say, "I want to be the one to do it." First, you got to show that you're capable. This is part of your brand building. You have to show them you're the one who's up there. All right? You're the best person. Maybe you know something about the area, something about the culture. Maybe you speak the language if it's overseas, or you've lived there before. Maybe you studied abroad there in college, or your family came from there. Something, you have some connection. Maybe whatever, you know the area. All right. Social branding. Fitting in versus standing out. So how do you fit in? Who do you notice more in this group? The one who stands out. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing. In my neighborhood, it wasn't always a good thing to stand out. Being the smart kid in my school wasn't a good thing. But I was also a big kid, so I was safe. But you do we're social beings, right? So we want to belong. There's this innate need to belong in human beings. But at the same time, we want to kind of be unique, unless we're really shy and we just want to hide. But at the same time, we want to be recognized for who we are. So we need to find that balance between being true to who we are and belonging. Sometimes we're afraid to say what we really think because we're afraid to rock the boat among our peers. And so you've got to find that balance. Sometimes we're afraid that we don't have the courage to stand up for what we believe because we're afraid that we're going to get ostracized. We're afraid it's going to hurt our brand. So that's a tough one we've got to work with. All right. We also have to think about the future. I don't know if you guys can read this. 2055 retirement village residents play a game of guess what that tattoo used to be. You got to think about the future. What seems like a good idea now may or may not be in the future. Building your brand requires certain dress, certain speech patterns, behaviors, friends. You don't want to hang out with Harvey Weinstein. Professional associations, the clubs you belong to. It matters. You have to pick. I mean, literally as a kid, I mean, I joked before about my neighborhood, but I literally had to decide not to hang out with gangs, not to join the mafia. I mean, literally. To go to a different high school away from our neighborhood high school. These were choices I had to make. Not to get hooked up with drugs. I had friends who were doing heroin. These were choices that my father was a cop, and I was more afraid of my father than I was of my friends. He made sure of that and helped me on the straight path. But these are choices we have to make. Luckily had a high school teacher who taught us that speaking like a kid from Brooklyn wasn't a good idea. We said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You sound stupid when you talk like you're from Brooklyn." So we learned to speak, to lose our accents. But it matters. So in summary, I want to leave a couple of minutes for questions. Start with your brand identity. Where are you now? Right? Where do you want to be? What are you going to have to do to get there? Be vigilant. Protect what you're building. And it doesn't happen overnight. Right? Oops. Set your goals. Put all your energy into achieving them. And then revisit them every 5 years. They're going to change. Right? But what's not going to change is the constants in your life. What is it about your life? What is it about your brand? There's something constant. Maybe it's helping other people. Maybe it's being a good person. Maybe it's whatever it is about you. There's something constant that carries through. That is what you need to look at and build around that. There's some inherent value system within your life that you build your brand on. And keep learning. Don't ever stop learning. Right? Because learning is a lifelong process. And as old Bill said in Hamlet, Polonius, Act 1, said, "To thine own self be true." And if you guys want a copy of these slides, just email me. And mahalo. We've got about 5, 7, 8 minutes for questions. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you mentioned about the point of parity and point of differences. It's
Yes.
a very outstanding point. But sometimes it's a little bit different to figure this out or distinguish these 2 points at the same time when you're
Yes.
applying for a job. So what's the best path to get through that?
Well, first look at the requirements for the job as they lay out in an advertisement, let's say. And what's your major?
Computer science?
Okay, so you know what all the other computer science folks are in your college. What do they offer? They all had similar training to you. They've taken similar courses. What do you bring that's unique? You have a different background. Maybe you've had a different, unique internship. Maybe you've traveled more. Maybe you've had you've worked, you know, a different software that they know. You've had a different experience. Maybe you've had more work experience than they've had. More international experience than they've had. Something that you can bring that makes you stand out from the crowd. Now, are you in engineering?
Yes.
So you've studied abroad.
Yes.
So maybe you've had a unique experience in your study abroad that is different from others in computer science that maybe they studied somewhere you did. Where'd you study?
Well, back in Iran and then come here and I got my master here and I'm doing my PhD.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is sometimes you will be overqualified if you have a lot of differences.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be like this. I mean,
Yeah. Are you going to academia or business?
probably industry. Your
Industry,
business,
okay.
yes.
So, yeah, you have unique qualifications that you have a lot of differences, but you also have a PhD, which is unusual. That alone, I would think, would be unique.
Well, yeah, the field that I'm working on, they need PhD,
Wow.
but there are not a lot of PhD positions out there. You know, you should be really unique in your
Yeah.
case, and then they will get you. But otherwise,
That would seem like that would be a real distinguishing characteristic. So, yeah. That to me would seem like that would be enough.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? No? You guys all want pizza? I told we had pizza. No? Was I that clear? I talked fast. I cut out some of the slides because I was afraid I was going to be too long-winded. Okay, let's go eat pizza.